Hi there, I'm Chris Welch from Housley Communications, and I'll put together a video for those people that are setting up a connected virtual appliance, particularly our customers that are in the Mint program where I come along afterwards and finish the install. It will go through the process of actually downloading the OVA, getting it installed, and perhaps most importantly, I'm going to make sure you get your Active Directory set up so that you can actually add some users to your connected virtual appliance and get the whole Intersight experience working properly. Enjoy. The first step in getting the Intersight appliance installed, of course, is to go to software.cisco.com, log in with your CCO ID, and navigate to, do a search for Cisco Intersight appliance, and you should find that at the moment, the latest one is 1.09499, still using the old user interface, but let's get it. So we just click on that to download it. If you haven't already logged in, you would have to log in at this point, accept the license agreement, and then it would download. But to save time, I've already downloaded that. So let's go straight into deploying the OVF. So we'll go and deploy an OVF template. We'll go to local file. I'll go and find it. Here it is. There's that file downloaded there. I've got it there, and we'll click on next. We'll pop it in there, but you know what? It's probably not a bad idea to give it something slightly nicer names. Itsy bitsy teeny shorter. We'll pop that in there. Let it think about it for a while. And so it's okay, well, that's fine. Now for the appliance, I can't do tiny. I have to have a small. Tiny is only suitable for what they call Intersight Assist. So small will be fine. And now I just got to go to find some storage here. We're going to put it on this one here. And I've got to put it on a different network. This one here will be just fine. And what you do have to do here, you have to be careful on this screen. You don't want to use DHCP. We're going to put an IP address in there. It's not going to be that. It's 172.16 on our system. This is going to be 1.190. Now, that IP address has to be already set up forward and reverse in DNS. So if I pop up a little screen here, and if I do a DNS lookup of 172.16.1.190, which is the IP address I'm giving it, I can see that resolves to Intersight. Now, if that IP address doesn't resolve to a name, you're going to be stuck in the water at this point. All right, so it's got to be forward and reverse to get that working correctly. In fact, it tells you here, right? Must have pointer record in your DNS. IP for and the default gateway is going to be not 23.1 but 1.1. And our search domain hl.dns. Now the thing here is that can catch you if you're not careful is that you don't want to click next just yet because there's more important stuff down here. Most importantly is the password. If you don't set a password, you're dead in the water again. So let's put one in there. And of course we'll confirm that. Hope they match now. NTP server, we'll put one of those in as well. And I think that's all we need to do. Okay, everything else we can set for the defaults and we're happy with that. Off we go and let that deploy. Okay, so this is going to take a little while. So just while that's deploying, remember I've got that NS lookup there. And if I ping that IP address, well, I just did an NS lookup of that. Let's ping the name. It should resolve to that IP address. It shouldn't ping yet because I haven't got the thing deployed yet. All right, let's see. Is that done? It's only halfway through. Okie doke. Let's see. Now, once this is installed, I'm going to fire it up and we go through the initial configuration. Okay, so I've powered on the appliance and we'll watch that boot up. It shouldn't take very long, but when it does boot up, it's going to go through and we'll need to check out a couple of things. So first of all, we'll do our login, and it's admin. Better click here. And the password I set during the install. Run a connectivity test to start with, right? And so it's going to check the IP address assignment. Once we've got this, we should be able to do a console setting to HTTPS 172.16.1.190, or more precisely, we probably should be using the this DNS name that we've got here, right? So I'll pop that back here. We just check. Okay, so there it is. It's gone and checked all that. So we've done our connectivity test. So that's probably the most important thing. Right, yeah, we've now got connection to my intersight.hl.dns page. Of course, it's going to ask me to go through this. And this is what happens the first time you log in here, right? So it's going to ask you which kind of appliance you're installing, because the same VM for whether it's one of these, one of these, one of these. And we're going to, okay, we'll click the start button. And it goes off now and it finds its device connector, right? Now for this stage, I need to have already established an account in Cisco Intersight.com, because we're going to add this to our Cisco Intersight.com account. So to do that, I need to copy the device ID, and over here I'm logged into Intersight and I'm logged in as device administrator. I've got very, very few rights as device administrator, except I can claim a new target. And what we're going to do is do an Intersight, Cisco Intersight appliance. Click on the start button. And this is where I paste in this device ID. Just paste that there, hopefully. There it is. And then I need the claim code, which is back here. And if we run out of time here, we'll have to get another claim code, but let's hopefully that it can be quick enough. Put that claim code here. Now we're going to do something similar later on, where it's going to be really important to get the right resource group here. But for this guy, I'm just going to stick it in the default resource group. In the appliance itself, we're going to do something similar. At that point, it's going to be a little bit different. So right now, all I want to do is claim that device. Fantastic. It's now claimed. So since it's been claimed, now we're all happy here. We can now go on and do the software update, right? So I will refresh that. Sometimes it's a little bit slow at going on to the next step here. I want to do a continue here, right? I think if I just refresh the whole page, it'll do that. Okay. Yes, okay. So I had to do a refresh of the page to get the continue to come up. I don't know why I had to do that. Now, if you want to upload the applied software, you have to have downloaded that first, and that's another whole process that I'll want to hopefully skip for now. But if your internet connection is not fast enough, if your storage is not fast enough, you may have problems just clicking on next here, right? Or clicking on finish here, because it's now going to download the version. Now when it downloads that, it's going to decompress a whole lot of stuff and install the appliance on this VM back over here, this guy here, and that takes some time. So I'll click on finish here, and you'll see nothing for a moment. Installation, okay, so it's initializing the download. I'm going to wait till that's finished, And if it fails, I'll go back and do the other version of uploading the software. All right, I'm going to take a break until that's done. Update here to say that it's 2.5 hours since I kicked off this software installation, and it's still going. We'll come back later. Just another quick update. It's just on 3 hours, or just a wee bit under. And as you can see, we've gone from starting services up to setting up the device connector. Okay, so the appliance is now completely installed. This page came up just over 3 hours it took to get to this stage. I can now sign in with the username my local username that I defined during the installation process. Now, when you first come in, it's going to ask you about data collection and get going, and ask you for an authorization code, which you're going to have to get from your smart licensing. All right. So, assuming it's here, you just go and copy that, and pop that in here, and register your license. After an incredibly long piece of patience, you will eventually see license registered successfully, hopefully. So then you can click finish. Great. So now we are in the Intersight appliance, but it's we've got nothing in there, right? And you're going to be tempted to jump in and start claiming your devices. In my example, we're going to use a UCSX chassis, but there's a few things that you need to do, or that I think you should do, before you go claiming devices. My advice is that you actually create some users and get those set up before you start doing anything in the Intersight appliance. But to do that, you're going to have to start by going to LDAP configuration. I'm going to assume it's in Active Directory. Okay, but before we jump into Active Directory, let's have a little quick look at how users and role-based access control works in Intersight. So we would normally have a CCO user that uses the Cisco login to get to Intersight if we're not using the Intersight appliance. And they'll be attached to a user-defined role that's connected to an organization, that's connected to the resource group, that's connected to the devices you want to manage. Now, when we go to the appliance, though, we lose this ability to have the CCO, user, the guy that uses the Cisco login. And so instead, that's going to be replaced by Active Directory. And the way we're going to do that, we could do it by user, but it makes much more sense with Active Directory to create a LDAP group. And for that, we're going to have to create an identity provider within the appliance, but that can't be done until all of this stuff is set up in Active Directory. So that's what we're going to do now. We're going to set up the organizational unit in Active Directory. We'll create a bind user in Active Directory. We'll create a UCSX admin group within Active Directory and put a couple of users in it. Well, we'll just put one user in it for the demo. And we have these users that have got the server administrator and UCS domain administrator roles so that they can manage this equipment. Now, we might also want another group as well that's got read-only access, so we might create a UCSX viewer group as well in Active Directory, and again we'll put a user, we could put multiple users in there, and they'll have their own user-defined role within the appliance in Intersight, and we'll just give them privilege of read-only to the same organization. So that's what we're heading for now, to go and create this structure in Active Directory. Here we are in Active Directory looking at users and computers, and the first thing we'll want to do is create an organizational group, right? So let's go and create a organisational unit, I should say. And a properly and appropriate name is Intersight users. And so that's our organisational unit, right? So this is the first thing we've got to do. Now, I'm going to have to create some kind of bind user, so let's create that over here. We'll go and do a new user here. And we'll just call this bind user. That's good enough. Bind user is a good name. And the reason we have to do this is because when we set up Active Directory in the Intersight appliance, it needs some user that it can log into Active Directory with to validate, so it can check all the other users when you're validating against LDAP, right? So we'll just call this bind user, and we'll just give them put a password in. Just make sure I remember the password. We don't want to do that. The password's never going to expire because this is going to be kind of programmed into the appliance. Put a password there. Alright, so that's that guy done. Now the next thing I'm going to do is put in a new group. Alright, so these groups will correspond to each kind of role-based access control, each role that I want to create inside the appliance, right? So I'll have, I think in my little presentation I had 2 of those, so let's create a new group. And I think I had a UCSX admin group. And that'll do. So that's our group here, and I'll create also a new viewer group, right? New group, and we'll call this UCSX viewer group, GROUP. That'll do. And of course what we'd want to do now is to put some users in there. Now I've got a couple of users, so if I go to properties here and go members, I can add a member here. And so who I've got here? I've got Ivan. Alright, so we'll put him in there. Ivan Headache is now is the viewers group. And we'll put a person in here as well. I've got another person lined up for this, so members. Let's add this. But of course, in your environment, you'll be adding your real users, right? So this is Teresa at hl.dns. And see if you can guess Teresa's last name. And there she is, Teresa Green. Okay, now that's it. That's all we've got to do in Active Directory. Now it's time to go back to the Intersight appliance and build all of those things that we showed you that I showed you in the PowerPoint in the appliance. Now, if you're doing a Mint install with Housley, that's it. That's all you need to do. That's all you need to get set up for me. And I'm happy to go on and walk you through the rest of it after you get to that point. But I need you to get to this point before I can kick off doing anything else. So, see you at the install.